I took most of the classes, and then I'd like leave and go to the skate park and go skating and have these feelings. Like, I couldn't explain, couldn't put my finger on it. Just everything felt dreamy, felt mystical, and it was just a regular power yoga class.
Hello, yogis. Hello, listeners. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Dharma Talk. I'm your host, Henry Winslow, and this is episode number 44. That clip was from my interview with this week's guest, Yancy Scot Schwartz, my friend and just an all-around rad dude from Los Angeles by way of New York. Yancy, if you don't know him, is a really friendly, down-to-earth guy who does a lot of skateboarding. He's not just a one-trick pony, even though his yoga practice is jaw-dropping. He came into yoga because he stumbled across it while touring around skateboarding. That was his first passion, first love, and something that he continues to do. So in this episode, we talk about how he's managed to merge those two things into a lifestyle that really suits him. We talk about how yoga has provided Yancy a healthy counterbalance to the physical strain of skateboarding and also of the strain involved in skate culture. We talk about surrendering to and seizing opportunity, from hiding in the back of the class with a hoodie up to receiving a free teacher training, and then going on to be hand-selected to open a new yoga studio. These are the sort of things that you can't force to happen. You have to surrender and see when life presents you with opportunity. And finally, we talk about what constitutes a simple life, why Yancy is striving to do that, and the benefits to be gained from living a simple life. So please stay tuned through these announcements, and we'll dive into my interview with Yancy Scot Schwartz. Yogis, I have several events and workshops coming up in the New York City area that I hope that you can join me for. On January 26th, I'm teaching a workshop at 3 Jewels NYC on hips and twists, yoga for digestion and blockage release. On the weekend of February 15th through 18th, I am co-leading an immersion at Lighthouse Yoga School with my friends Jared McCann and Aviad Sassi. This is a great opportunity if you've been looking at going deeper in your practice, but you're not quite ready or maybe not interested in doing a teacher training. We're going to do all-day yoga, including asana classes, pranayama and meditation, posture clinics, and all sorts of yoga conditioning work as well. Also, you'll be surrounded by like-minded people who are interested in advancing their practice. Finally, I am giving a workshop at Yoga and Fitness Herald Square on March the 2nd on sun salutations. So if you're interested in joining any of these events, head on over to henrywins.com/events. And for the immersion, don't forget to drop in my referral code HenryWins to get 10% off the tuition. Okay, that's it. Hope to practice with you soon. Enjoy the interview. What's your purpose? What's your vision? What mark will you leave on this planet long after you're gone? I'm Henry Winslow, and you're listening to Dharma Talk, the only podcast where I interview inspirational yogis on how they're changing the world in their own unique ways. Whether you're still searching for your purpose or already walking the path, I hope these stories get you excited to live your Dharma. Hello, Dharma Talk community, and welcome back to another episode. Today, my guest is Yancy Scot Schwartz. Yancy took his first yoga class in the Dominican Republic while on a skate tour. Yancy currently resides and teaches yoga in Los Angeles, California. He believes that through the yoga practices and techniques, we can free ourselves from the constraints of the body and the mind. Yancy is trying to lead a simple life. Yancy, how are you today? Thank you for coming on the show.
I'm good. It's morning here in LA, and I'm good. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be talking to you here on the show.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for waking up early for this. I don't know if that's your norm to be up, but it's always a little bit of
up, but I'm not normally talking to anybody.
Yeah. Nice, nice. Well, appreciate you taking a little divergence from your usual morning routine. We always start these
Sure.
conversations with the same first question, so I'm going to give you that one now. What does the word dharma mean to you, and what is your dharma as you understand it today?
What does the word dharma mean to me, and what is my dharma as I understand it today? Is
Yeah.
that what you just said?
Yep.
Okay. The word dharma to me means following your path, your calling, I suppose. I know things change for a lot of people, and for me, I feel what it means to me today is to spread the teachings of yoga as I know it, as I experienced it, and from the knowledge that I've gained throughout the years. And that's it. That's my dharma. Following my dharma is to teach yoga. I guess what I've come to understand for now, yeah, until
Hmm.
it changes, but
And
that's why I'm on this.
has your understanding of what it means to share the practice of yoga changed?
Yeah, I mean, when I started out, I was like a baby. I didn't know anything. I was just like, oh yeah, like this is so cool. A couple poses, like yeah, cool. This is pretty intense, and like saying I took like Brian Cass's class and like people's classes, and they were a little bit younger, and or I don't know what they were. To tell you the truth, I was younger, and they do things like curse in class and stuff like that. And now I look at that, I'm like, man, that was a really ignorant thing to do. But I was young, and you don't know, and you learn from what you don't know, and now I know I would never do that in the class these days. So yeah,
Yeah,
different.
and your introduction to yoga was what, as I mentioned in your intro, was during a skateboarding tour. So how did that all happen, and what was your initial reaction to yoga, having been in the context of skaters?
Okay, well, skateboarding is very, like it's a lot of guys, and it's very a lot of, I don't know, I would say machismo, but you risk yourself, and there's a lot of bravado, and you kind of go for things and try to, you know, almost laugh at like death in the face and be like, whatever, I don't care, I'm gonna go for this, like land or slam, like possibilities of breaking stuff or getting really hurt. So I was always stretching prior to my introduction to yoga, but like I was shy. I was a young kid. I was always stretching at home, in front of the TV because I'd skate so much, my legs would get like cramp up. I'd cramp up like constantly because I'd skate so much so my legs couldn't take it. Um, and so it's kind of like a private thing. And then when I went on this skate tour, they had a yoga class in the hotel room, and a couple of like the older skaters like went up and did it. So I went up and did it too. So 'cause I want to be down, check it out. Like I don't care. I'm like, see, free yoga class in the roof, like great. And it was like ashram yoga. So I was like super chill. It wasn't anything like a power. I didn't know the difference between yoga, and power yoga and all this kind of stuff. So it was like ashram yoga. Actually, to tell you the truth, it was exactly integral yoga, Satchitananda's yoga. So I thought nothing of it. Weird, cool. Take the yoga class, jump in the ocean, go to the city, film some tricks, and that call it a day, and come back and eat food, and then do it again. And the next morning, like do the yoga. It's part of like, okay, I'm here in this place, and my intro to yoga. But actually, let me backtrack. When I was really young, I'm so bad with dates and time. I would say my first trip to Los Angeles, I went to Venice Beach, and I saw a man stretching, doing this Samokhanasana, sidewise splits, like all sweaty, all wiry, like in the sand. And I was like, you know what? For some reason, that was attracted to me. I was attracted to that. I was like, I need to learn this. This is going to help me out. And I didn't know what a yogi was. But now I look back and reflect. I'm like, that was yogi. And then like later on in life, I took a skate trip. I was on a skate trip, like got paid to go to Dominican Republic and film. And then they had this yoga class upstairs. So I was like, okay. But I was introduced to it. I just didn't know what it was. And then I saw that guy. I was always stretching. I didn't know what, like, I didn't know how to breathe or like, I was just like, I just need to like stretch my legs or whatever. Like, so that's kind of that in a nutshell. If that makes any sense, I don't know.
It does make sense, especially the part about, being exposed to something, having an unexplained attraction to it without even really knowing what it is, and then having it recur in your life until you finally follow through with it and like seize the opportunity in a way. I think that's a pattern that a lot of people can relate to, myself included. When you did take that class and you didn't, you said you didn't know the difference between Satchitananda's yoga and power yoga and all these different types and lineages. What was your reaction to that class? I know that you really did it because you wanted to, just participate with the rest of the crew, but what was your experience?
I thought it was weird and cool. I was like, okay, this is weird, cool, cool because it wasn't like, I just thought it was cool. It was just weird. I'm like, I'm down to get like to try things out. I'm pretty open. I'll try things, and then figure out if I like it or not, or if it's for me or not. It possibly, at the time I wasn't so, like, oh wow, this is it. I found it. Like, no, it wasn't that way. It took me a while after that to like really seek yoga on my own because that was just like circumstance, perfect timing, whatever. But after that trip, I never took a yoga class or anything like that. Like it didn't happen that way. It took like a few more years or something like that to like really get into it. So yeah, my reaction was like, oh yeah, pretty cool, interesting. Yeah, and that's it. And I kind of left it alone after that. I didn't go seeking it. It took a couple of other antagonistic forces to get me there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I know that you are still like an avid skateboarder, and I wonder, maybe you can talk a little bit about what your relationship to each of these two things has become and how they work together for you, the skateboarding and the yoga.
Okay, so I think when I started skating, the consciousness in skating has its own consciousness in and of itself. And as the newer generation come into play and the older generation become more aware, skateboarding is a very, I suppose, still to this day, a little bit more of a rock and roll lifestyle. Party, like lift fast and, do a lot of damaging things to the body, let alone skateboarding in itself. There's a lot of substance abuse and partying. But as these generation of skateboarders get a little bit older, they're like, hey, I want to skate. So I'm older, so their consciousness changes because they realize that their body can't handle it. And so they're living like more healthy lifestyles, putting yoga into play. So my relationship with skateboarding and yoga, in the beginning, I was at that mindset where it was like, yeah, party, party, party. And then as I got a little bit deeper into yoga, I was like, wait, this is not in alignment. Because I feel it physically. So my body, through practice, no more partying, no more this. So you purify your body. So it rejects those kind of things. And so my relationship with yoga and skating is, skating is still very jarring on your physical form. So yoga is a very healing modality, although some of the poses that you or I might do may seem a little bit extreme to some, but for me, I'm sure for you as well. I can't speak for you, but it's just a deeper expression. I have to go a little bit deeper to get to where I need to go because I am capable of it. And so, yeah, so it's like, you know, what's a great analogy or an example would be like, let's say standing forehead to knee, right? You know this pose. You round down, you grab your foot, you're rounding your spine, you get all the benefits. But if you can kick out, you kick out, you know? Might as well go, do what you can do. Like, or if you have a Lamborghini, this open road, yeah, I'm gonna press the pedal to the metal. So, because I can, because like that's, but if I was, in a like a Ford Escort and like it's on its last lane, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. So I am capable. It feels like a healing modularity, and I'm gonna find that deepest expression of that modularity. So skateboarding's kind of jarring, it's still fun, freeing. You have to be in the moment, like yoga. If not, the consequences are there's a heavier price. There's consequences in yoga too, depending on like what you're doing, if you know what you're doing or not, or you can't push it, or it'll let you know. But the yoga is more healing, so counterbalances it. If that makes any sense, I don't know. What happens in my head, what comes out of my mouth, and what people perceive is like, I don't know if it makes sense. So that's so like skateboarding is freaking hard on the body. Like I'm sore, you fall, but the heat. I love hot yoga. The heat's healing, it's purifying, and unlike all yoga, I don't know how to do. I took a non-heated class the other day, and it was great.
Yeah.
It's all healing. Man, downward dog, you stretch everything, the whole back of the body. It's great. Do a couple upward dogs, stretch the front of the body. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
Feels
No,
healing.
I totally know what you mean. You can never control how people are going to perceive what you're saying, no matter how perfectly clear it comes out. But what I took away from what you said is, well, I appreciate the explanation around why, certain people, yourself, myself included, do these poses that seem kind of extreme. Yeah, I mean, we're still looking for a therapeutic benefit there, and when you keep practicing a lot, these poses open up and they start to unlock new sensations that are still deeply healing. So I definitely agree with you on that. But kind of to go back to the crux of my initial question, which was how you're using the skateboarding and yoga together. Skateboarding, yeah, it's like it can put a little bit of
Let me interrupt really quick.
Yeah, sure.
Skateboarding, inside of me, I have like a fire, an Agni, and skateboarding helps that channel.
Mm-hmm.
And then yoga is a more sensible, calm. So I still got like the crazy fire in me, Henry. So I'm like, oh. So that's like my fire, I guess, my yang. And then the yoga is more like, yeah, chill, like peace, hippie love.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you said that, that skateboarding puts a lot of strain on the body, physically speaking, with the actual, the movements and the impact of the sport. But you also kind of alluded to the tangential strain on the body that comes from the culture around skateboarding. How have you dealt with that? And specifically, as you got deeper into your yoga practice, did yoga teacher trainings and made that an important part of not only your life, but your identity? How did that change the way that you interacted in your social circles with the skaters?
Oh man, before when I first started yoga, it was like heavily um, skateboarding was heavily encoded into me. So I'm like, everything sucks. Everyone sucks, and skateboarding's king, and everyone's kind of like a kook. So I would be like, when I first started yoga, I would like go to the yoga classes, and I like, don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to any of these yogi people. Like they're like whatever. Like leave me alone. I just want to do my yoga. and run back to the skateboarders. Now, it's kind of changed. I go skating. Now I can't wait to be around, like, I'm not saying I'm like a very social person. I'm not very social per se, but I like to be around like yogis because it's like a more like healing kind of environment. Although it's changing in skateboarding. But for example, yesterday I went skating and there, people are offering me, people are drinking, going to the liquor store, from the skate park, smoking weed. It's still the same, like when I was younger, smoking weed, offering me all kinds of like substances, and I'm just like, no, I don't do that anymore. Like or I say, I can't do that. Like, I don't do that. Like, and it's fine. They respect me because when it boils down to it, doesn't matter if you're like crazy whacked out on whatever, or not. What speaks in skateboard culture is skateboarding. So that's what speaks. If you have a cool attitude, I have a cool attitude. I keep to myself. I mind my business. I interact, but I just don't partake in that kind of stuff. And I don't judge them per se either because, I've been there. I was young. But I'm hoping my interaction in the skateboard world, like if I'm skating good or like, and people have been intrigued by me, kind of like an anomaly, because they're like, oh wow, this guy's skating good. So like anything else, I just try to lead by example. And if people ask me, hey, like how come you skate so good? And I'm like, oh yeah, I do this diet, I stretch every day, or do yoga. If they ask, I'm not like a preacher.
Mm-hmm.
If they ask where people are interested, and yeah, a couple people are interested, and they're like smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer, or smoking weed, be like, yo, Yancy, like I want to go to one of your yoga classes one day. I'm like, yeah, sure. Let me know.
Yeah.
They've come to like realize like, oh, like this dude does other stuff, and so hopefully by example, like, or by just skating good, like people are cool and they want to hang out with me. They're like, yo, let's go skate. I'm like, okay, great, let's go.
And
All day yesterday skating.
have you inspired many people to pick up a yoga practice from skating?
A couple of people come and go. I don't push anything on anybody. A couple of people come and go. They come. It's meant to happen. That's cool. I don't. You know. Uh, you know. Um. A few people. Yeah, a few people interested. A few people have come to classes and some good friends. Like, I would say they're like, you wouldn't know so much, but yeah, a lot of pros. Like, the consciousness is shifting in skateboarding. The older generation is putting out a good example because they've partied and now they're a little bit older, and the younger generation's looking up to them. It's not where I'd like it to be, but it's getting better. Hopefully, with all like media and the hype in skateboarding, like, they see them, people are treating it like really athletes and trying to be healthy. Although, athletes party and all that kind of stuff, they still party, but more on a healthier tip. Like, oh yeah, yoga's prevalent, like, or exercising, or healthy diet, or that kind of stuff. And, they still party, but at least their health conscious is growing. Their awareness is growing in skateboarding, as opposed to where it's like, yeah, party, 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 party. None of that health aspect was showing. You see a couple skaters stretching here or there, but like now it's more prevalent.
Yeah.
Henry.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know from speaking to you in personal conversations that even if in the beginning yoga was like physical stretching to prepare you to go skating, that now it's taken on a much deeper meaning for you, and you've got a spiritual practice that you're very committed to every morning. So let's spin the clock back a little bit. Like, how did that start to evolve for you? And I know you moved to New York for a while and then moved back to LA. How did you get deeper into your yoga practice? How did you end up becoming a teacher?
Okay. So I guess it would start with how to end up becoming a teacher and going from there.
Hmm.
So I got back from Puerto Rico, or Dominican Republic. Man, I've been to so many crazy places skateboarding.
Hmm.
So I got back, I did a couple of tours, and then I was in the US. I did a tour, and and then I actually, after a tour, I was living in New York at the time, working at skateboard shops, and I met this girl, and she started going to yoga for people in New York. And she's like, Yancy, you gotta try this yoga. You know, I'm like, okay. I started dating this girl. So you got to try this yoga. I'm like, okay, great. And this was like years after I did that skate trip and did that yoga and whatever. I'm like, yeah, I know yoga. I've done it before. Like, yeah, for sure, cool. I didn't know what styles of yoga there were. So I go to this yoga class, yoga with people. It's like a Brian Kess class, power yoga. And people, they had us holding these poses, and people are loud breathing, like letting out sighs of relief. And I was like almost cracking up because it's like so ridiculous. I'm like, this is so stupid. People are, what is this? Because I was used to the ashram yoga. I didn't understand what was going on, and they had you holding these poses. Like, I just want to stretch and chill. Like, this is so dumb. So I was like almost laughing. It was like people are having like releases, like it sounded like they were like getting off, and I was
Yeah.
like skateboarding and me was inside like kind of cracking up, and then a part of me was kind of pissed because I don't want to hold this lunge or chair pose. Like this hurts. This is like not fun. This is not like relaxing. This is actually stressful, and this is dumb. This is really dumb. So I never went back after a year. She took me to Brazil, and I was such an anti-yoga guy. I was like, yoga's stupid. She's like, no, da da da. We come back from Brazil. I was in Brazil for a month. We come back from Brazil, and I was skating in Brazil. Awesome, eating acai, like boy of summer, jumping in the ocean, skating around. Come back from Brazil, working at the skate shops. Um, and kept going to yoga, and she became a teacher. And through becoming a teacher there at this company, I'm sure you probably heard the stories. They told her, like, hey, we're going to open up a studio in Berkeley, California. We want you to go out there and open up a studio. It'll be for like a couple months to help open up a new studio. She became certified, helped open up a studio. And I was back in New York. So I was like, yeah, I want to come visit you. I'll come visit you. She's like, yeah, sure. Great. And out of my mouth, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait. So my internal monologue on the phone was like, great. I go get to see my girlfriend. I get to skate California, Berkeley. I'm already scoping out all the skates parks and all the spots. And I told her out of my mouth, I was like, yeah, and I'll take your yoga class. And I didn't mean to say that. It just came out of my mouth like a Freudian slip or whatever like that. I'm like, oh man. But I said I'd do it. So when I got there, she showed me like the basics, like a chaturanga, a warrior one, a warrior two. And before I even took the class, she's like, look, let me just show you some basics. And then so like you're not like lost in the class or whatever, and you're not like laughing or whatever, like feel self-conscious, because I was super self-conscious at the time. She showed me the basics. I took a class, and I was like, they're trying to kill me. Like these girls were trying to like make it super hard for me because I was super strong. I'm like, yeah, I'm tough as nails, like skating, blah blah blah. And after the class, I kind of felt that like euphoric yoga high feeling, and I went skateboarding, and everything was so nonchalant and casual, almost like I was floating on the skateboard. I'm like, okay, I don't know what it is, but I got to keep doing it. So I took every single class that they offered, and then I always go to the skate park because there would be a break, or they'd have to like I took most of the classes, and then I'd like leave and go to the skate park and go skating and have these feelings like I couldn't explain, couldn't put my finger on it. Just more so, I was like everything worked out, everything felt dreamy, felt mystical, and it was just a regular power yoga class, no chanting, no nothing like that. I wasn't into that. Went back to New York, was in a warrior. I kept going to yoga like on the low, like by myself, like in the back, leave me alone, like hoodie sweater, like in the back, just do my practice and go skating because I want that feeling. And then they offered me, the owner of the yoga studio tapped me on the shoulder, and he's like, "How'd you like to do teacher training for free? Think about it. Let me know." During the class. So I was like, I'm a skateboarder, and I'm like, free? So I was like, I'll take anything for free. I'm like, great, let's do it. So I told the skate shop, hey man, I'm gonna need the weekends off for at least a month or whatever, 2 months. And they're like, all the manager was pissed at me because he likes to skate on the weekends. He's like, all right. And the owner to the yoga studio, to the skate shop, it was an ex-model chick, and it was a good friend of mine, and she practices yoga. She was like, yeah, this is great. She used to practice at Jivamukti. And she was like, yeah, great. So they let me do it. So that's how I became a yoga teacher. And then after that, to get deeper, I got certified. I did my training, and then they did the same thing to me. How'd you like to go to San Francisco and open up a yoga studio? Because I was very handy with my hands, electrical, carpentry, and all this kind of stuff that I picked up, along the way, living, whatever. I went to San Francisco, opened up the yoga studio, and then San Francisco is a mecca of yoga, especially all those old hippies, like trying all these esoteric ways and all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of yoga out there. So I went, on my spare time, I'd go to the skate park and I'd try out different classes. So I found different teachers, different yoga, and they had an ashram over there, and my friend was doing training at the ashram, a skateboarder at Integral. So I go to Integral Yoga, I do Netravayam of the eye movement and all this chants and all this weird stuff, long shoulder stance, and hang out at the ashram and do ashram life, and then check out all these other yoga things. So that's how I got deeper. And then I was like, interested, so I was like, looked up online all these kind of yoga stuff. Let me look up the sutras. Let me look up like all this kind of stuff, and that's how I started evolving, getting deeper. Because I was doing power yoga, I wasn't really interested in advanced poses. I would just do my practice, but I would go always check out other classes and other teachers just to get information and see what's out there. And then later on down the line in San Francisco, it was supposed to be a couple of months, and ended up being like 5 years. I just stayed over there. And this gentleman, older gentleman, all these teachers used to come in and out, like from the company, like, yo, Yancy, let me show you this. I was like, I don't care, dude. I just want to do my practice and skate. But this older gentleman is like, hey, let me show you the rocket. And there was something magical about him because he admired the work that I did in the studio, like my handiwork, because he was a handyman too, like electrician and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay. So he showed me the rocket, and we were doing things like practicing for 4 hours a day, like in the middle, like straight, doing all this crazy stuff, all these crazy asanas, all this crazy pranayama that I had no clue what I was doing, but I was just doing it because this is the guy that opened the door for me. So I would do all this kind of stuff. So he showed me the rocket, and then later on in life, I did that rocket training. I understood the philosophy behind it, like Ashtanga, like the primary, the what do you call this? The Yoga Chikista, the Nadi Shodhana, and then the Sthira Bhagda. So I understood all this, like the legs grounding, forward bending, and then the nerve cleansing, the arm balances, the back bends, and then after you master the bottom half and the upper half of your body, you move like advanced poses and and third series, Stira Bhagda, moving with divine grace. So with constant practice, I did the lower body, and the skating helped prepare me because my legs were strong and flexible. I always wanted to stretch them. And then the upper body came easy. That's why dancers have it easy, because they always work their legs. And then once they get to yoga, the upper body comes into play, and it's like they get the upper body mastered, and then they can do kind of whatever. The body's not so much of a blocked, I suppose, to say in better layman's terms. So yeah, that's how I got deeper, and then I went to move back to New York for a short while, and I met Jared and all these guys. I met Jared on trips back to New York, and all these guys, and on trips back to New York, I took. Do you know Nikki Carter?
Yeah.
So I took Nikki's class, and something about her class, like I don't know what it was. It just blew me away, and it made me want to get deeper into yoga. And then later on, I took another few trips back to New York, and or I moved back. I don't remember. And they're like, "You gotta go see Dharma. Practice next to Yosho. He's just like you. Go see Dharma. Practice next to Yosho. He's just like you." And I had met Jared and Julia. So Julia and Nikki took me to Dharma, and I was scared to go because I was like, "Oh my God, this is gonna be too intense for me." And it was great, and I was like, "This is it." Doing Rocket before, but it's like the best of all the worlds. I get to do everything, and it was like Ashtanga, but like a little bit slower. It was great. So I was like, okay. And then Julia said she was going to do the training, and she backed out. And I met Nicholas with Julia, and he was like an old Dharma yogi. And I was practicing with Nicholas. Even before I went to Dharma, I was doing like all these mantras with Nicholas and practicing with Nicholas, and he was showing me all these weird things. And I'm like, okay. And then I finally went to Dharma's, and I was like, okay, great. This is it. So I was like, she said she was going to do the training. I had some money saved, like from like teaching and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I took all my money out, and I did his 500 hour, not knowing what it was about. I was just like, I need to whatever. And Dharma's like, I saw him in the elevator one day. He's like, "You're gonna love it, being around all these people, like the same spiritual energy." I'm like, "Yeah, great. I'm excited." And then I did the training, and then there was all this diet, and I became a vegan, and there was all these restrictions, and they're like, no coffee, and then I was practicing so much, and through Dharma's training, the training life of a yogi. Through his training, I was doing all this physical stuff and a little bit of pranayama here and there, and like delving into that. But he gave me a pranayama practice, because we do pranayama every morning, and then figured out a nice sadhana for myself, and yeah, through that, I've refined a nice home practice, which is not that physical. It's more sitting, meditation, sitting in lotus, and lots of different techniques that aren't so popular, that you wouldn't find in most yoga studios. Most people can't sit still, so the physicality of it's just not viable, not strong enough. So it's not popular. So I do these things that aren't popular by myself at home, and I got deeper, and yeah, it's been all people are just people, they see you practice and they're like, whoa, like, how, or whatever. And a lot of practice. And then I think that, that sadhana that I do in the morning, eliminates a lot of mental constraints that most people couldn't get past, perhaps, but you have to be able to sit. So.
Well,
that's how I got in a nutshell. Long story short.
I mean, thank you for sharing that whole story. It's really exciting to hear the whole journey and kind of your internal thoughts surrounding each step along the way. So thanks for sharing that. One thing that I kind of want to go a little bit deeper on is this idea of constraints, because it came up twice. Once with the Dharma teacher training, being like having these new constraints imposed or encouraged upon you with the diet and maybe some other things. And then also you said that a lot of people are held back by the mental constraints that they put on themselves. So how did that sit with you when you were first told, maybe you shouldn't eat meat or you shouldn't do certain things? And did you have any resistance to that, or was it something that you welcomed right away?
No, a little bit of resistance, but like I was already a vegetarian, but like, okay, well, this is what I have to do. Like, I paid all this freaking money for this training. I'm like, all right, okay. It was a little bit hard at first, but then you get used to it like anything else. Like, I'm open to it. So, I'm always up for, I wouldn't say I'm up for a challenge, but like, hey, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to do. So I just do it. Like, I don't, yeah, it sucked at first, and then you get used to it like anything else. Just like a yoga pose. You do it, you get used to it, you get past the physical aspects of it, and then, you'll receive something much more fascinating. So, yeah, at first there's a little bit of mental constraints, but I practice so much where it's like, okay, here we go again. Okay, new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like have to keep at it and whatever years, like time, whatever. It doesn't irrelevant. Eventually, things will click. Things will open up. So I'm
Yeah.
like at this point, I'm used to it. So like at that stage in my yoga path, I was like, all right, great. Like this sucks again. Like it doesn't stop. Like okay, whatever. Like
Yeah. But
okay, like
I don't know if it was before or after that, but at a certain point, you also decided, I'm going to cut out the alcohol and drugs that are so pervasive in my like skating social circles. So obviously, there was something that you felt you were gaining in exchange for giving certain things up.
yeah. I mean, I was just more aware of myself. I can like really, it wasn't a dulling of the senses. So a lot of skateboarders will dull their senses, and so they kind of almost feel invincible. You can like fall on your face and get right back up, and you know, I've seen skateboarders like break their wrist and still skating or skating with casts and all this kind of stuff. Get right back up and skate. Like like look at Danny Way. He jumped the Great Wall of China. First go around, he snapped he like fractured his ankle. And then the next day, he took a bunch of like whatever, did it. So it's like that kind of mentality. So as I became more aware of myself, like through yoga and like trying to like be a little bit healthier, it's like, okay, I know when it's time to push things. I know when it's time not to push things. I know when's the right time, the right moment for things. So, and that's that. And I'm not going to try to chase knowing what I know about the yoga practice. And I'll explain it very easily. The guna, the three states, tamas, sattvic, and rajas. So skateboarding is more like on the rajasic side. And I'm not going to go chase something that's going to last me 3 seconds. The trick is about 3 seconds to 5 seconds, depending on the trick. It's so fast. So I'm not going to go chasing that feeling 3 seconds. So if I've been skating my like whole life and all these seconds amount to what, like a month or whatever, combined, all these tricks, and chasing that, it's like a rat on a wheel chasing nothing. So I'm trying to find like a sattvic state, enjoy those moments when I can, and not chase anything. I don't have to like push or chase. I'm not trying to be lazy either. I'm still skating like as much as I can. Just like the yoga practice. I do my practice. It doesn't have to be every day, like foot behind the head or feet on the back. I practice those things a lot. And they're there. But what's always there is like that baseline, um, through my sadhana. That's helpful. And if it so happens that I miss my sadhana because of circumstances, I'm not going to go beat myself over the head over it. I know I have a steady practice, and missing one day, like, not. That would be stupid. Like, to, oh my God, I missed this one day because I had to do something, you know, circumstance. I had to, like, the cable guy or something, or I had to wait, or important phone call. Like, yeah, so that's how that works. So I'm just more self-aware of myself. I know through yoga practice and philosophy, I'm not going to go chase anything. I'm not going to go barge or hurt myself. Like, those things do happen, but I'm not like pushing the envelope like that, or, you know, does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's also a perfect segue into, let's have one last question. In reference to your intro at the beginning. Yancy is trying to lead a simple life. What does that mean? What does it mean to lead a simple life to you, and why is that important?
Simple life, it just creates more space. I don't need to like be like, I just teach, go skate, make a little bit of money to pay my bills. I'm happy. I don't need to be, there's all these, I see all, like, it looks nice. Like, I don't know. It could be great. I don't yet to explore it, but I hate flying. I don't like traveling too much. I like my routines, and I change it up here and there, but I'm not looking for anything like, like too extravagant. If something extravagant comes my way, I'm not an idiot. I'm like, okay, cool, great. I'm always open to things, but I'm not chasing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Me per se. So that's what it means to be a simple life. So I don't have to, like, stuff already pops up that's complicated. Like, hey, teach this, do that, do that. I'm like, okay, if I can, okay, we'll see. If I have time, but just leaving space for other things. So if I lead a simple life, if other things do pop up, I'm not going to be overwhelmed. So if those nice, like, trips, like, Yancy, do this, do that, or like, come here, teach a workshop here, or do that, or come here. So it's like, okay, I lead that much of a simple life, so I have room or space if I want to create something else.
Mm-hmm.
That's my simple life. Like, I don't really go out. I'm not very social. My extent of social is like outside of the yoga class. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, cool, awesome. Have a great weekend. Or there's like a scene. There's like a scene over here at the green. If I want to get a social fix, I'll go over there and I'll get my social fix for the week. And then I'm outside skateboarding. I'm outside all day. I'm interacting with people, but I'm more to myself. So that's how that goes. If that explains anything. Yeah, I want to keep things simple. All I do is wake up, do my practice, teach, skate, take a class for fun or whatever, and then I work on stuff on my own that I'm working on, go home, eat my food, rest. That's it. And then to fill the gaps, like, sometimes I do some carpentry, I play guitar. That's it. Simple.
Yeah. Keep it simple, leave space for the unexpected, and allow simple to be profound. All right, Yancy, check it out.
Yeah.
We're gonna finish up with the last section of the interview. It's called the prana round. So here I'm gonna ask you 6 rapid fire questions, and you answer in minimum 1 word, maximum 1 sentence. All right?
Oh wow, I'm ready, man.
Okay.
Oh,
In 1 word, why do you practice yoga?
It's healing.
What's your favorite yoga pose and why?
Handstand scorpion. It's a beautiful balance between strength and flexibility.
What is the single best cue or piece of advice that you've ever received from a yoga teacher?
Are you a teacher or a preacher?
Nice. The rhetorical question. Recommend one book, modern or ancient, for our audience.
Excuse me, you cut out. Recommend what?
Recommend one book, either modern or ancient, for our listeners.
Okay, that's great. What's that book? By B.K.S. Iyengar, light on life, not light on yoga, light on life.
That's a great book. I love that book, and I recommend it often as well. Okay,
Yeah.
is yoga for everyone?
It is for everyone. Like David Life says, yoga's for everyone, but does it choose you?
All right, last question. How can our audience get in touch with you, and how can we support you in your Dharma?
How can they get in touch with me? Instagram is super easy. I'm pretty active on that, at Yancy Scot Schwartz. And I have a website. It's not up to date because I'm kind of a lagger on that. I'm not that computer savvy. And I'm in LA. And how anybody can help me in my Dharma? I don't know. Just be a nice person. That's helpful. That'll help everybody.
Yeah.
Just be nice.
Just be nice. All right, Yancy, thank you again for taking the time this morning, for waking up and chatting with me in the early hours. I appreciate you and all you're doing, so have a great rest of the day.
Yeah, let me know when you're in LA. I want to take your class, man. Take care. I'll let you know when I'm in New York.
Hey, Dharma Talk community. If you enjoyed this podcast and you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button right now. And if you'd like to show your support even more, leave me an honest review on iTunes or whatever podcast directory you listen on. You can also make a financial contribution to keep the show up and running, a donation at henrywins.com. And remember, I'm here to serve you. So if you have any questions or comments or ideas, you can always reach me on Instagram at henrywins. Otherwise, I'll speak to you next week. Keep living your Dharma.